This is Leap Taken, and this is Mika. Thanks for coming to my channel. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, manifesting, law of attraction, esoteric, and everything else in between. Today's topic is all about fear and how fear and witchcraft don't mix. I think that's an obvious thing, but I don't think it's obvious to everybody. And I'll be honest, in the beginning, I was a little scary witch. Certain things scared me because I was still learning to, I'll just get into it in a minute, what I was still learning to do. So getting over fear takes mastery, whether it's witchcraft or not. And boy, oh boy, it's hard. And fear is hardwired. It's in us. It's a necessary reflex for humans, I think. It teaches us, it protects us. So there's no real way to turn fear off completely unless, I guess, you're using something external, a drug or something like that. So assuming we're not talking about, artificial substances in the system to limit your fear, to turn off your fear, and you're just trying to naturally master it. That's the key, master it. It's not squashing and getting rid of fear. It's being fearful and doing it anyway. Knowing that that's your, internal senses going off, trying to tell you hey, there might be danger because you don't know enough information to know if this is okay. That's a normal thing. Acknowledge it for what it is and move forward. Still do the thing. Still, get the knowledge, educate yourself so that you're not feeling so fearful about certain practices. So that's the thing, mastery. But I'm going to break it down a little bit more. So, one of the reasons a lot of us are so terrified of different witchcraft practices, or even different spiritual paths. You say voodoo or hoodoo to certain people, and they feel, oh, I don't want to mess with that. It brings about fear. Or when you talk about witchcraft at all, it brings fear. And I think it's a lot to do with how a lot of us were brought up into that, those big religions, Christianity being one of them. I truly believe, because I know it messed with me because I was brought up Christian. So it kind of, messed up some thinking. I was indoctrinated since I was a child. We don't call it that because, people get offended if you say you indoctrinated them, people being your parents, your family. But I was indoctrinated since I was a child. That's what's happening. We can call it what we will. They have their hearts in the right place. They think they're doing what's best for you as a child to save your soul. I completely understand that, don't get me wrong, but it is indoctrination. So it's hard to shed what we've been told since as long as we could remember about good and evil, what's bad for us, sin and all that sort of stuff. And witchcraft probably would fall under sin, what's bad for you, right? Or what's bad, what you shouldn't be doing. And it speaks of things that are not of that faith. So it feels wrong initially for some people, and they don't, they're fighting two sides of themselves. I'm speaking for myself for sure, because I was a, forward-thinking woman, contemporary. I'm open-minded, but I would have these pangs of rejection and fear when I would go over certain topics in witchcraft. And it wasn't anything in particular that really got me. It was just like if I would read too much or a reading. Oh my gosh, initially when I first started, I was a little spooky, I was afraid to get a bad card. What does that mean? If I get a bad card, is that bad? Is that going to happen? I was one of those people, which was silly because bad things are going to happen whether you pull that card or not. That's a whole other thing. But I would also be scared to commune with spirit, just scary. I was trying to work through the fear, but eventually I knew I had to, because you can't do this and have effective magic, successful spells if you're afraid because you don't believe it. Or you believe something's going to go wrong, you believe bad, you're thinking negatively, that's not going to make things work that, in your favor. So I realize that. And there's I'm one for examples. I realized I was on the right path when I started really hearing through dreams and through voices, just like a voice, not like a full on like a conversation like I'm talking now and I'm sitting across. No, don't call nobody on me. No, I'm not hearing voices like that, but more like in that lucid state. Some of us probably hear that. You might hear somebody calling your name and you get up and you look around the house, see if one of the kids or somebody called your name, nobody called you, but you heard your name being called. Stuff like that, though, that in between time where you kind of zoned out, not sleep, just, lucid, right? It's a lucid dreaming, they call it. I just call it like when you're deeply relaxed. You don't mean to be meditating. You don't mean to be that relaxed, but you are. Like you just zoned out. I would hear, and I'm a mother and a wife. These opportunities did not come often, but when they did, it was interesting because I would get messages, and and everything always came true. I knew. Some of them were not good things. I'm not going to lie. They were not good things. I told my husband there was a situation that was going on with his work at the time. This is some time ago, a company he was working for. And I said, they're going to fire you today. And he looked at me and said, why did you say that? He had a meeting and I said, that's what's going to happen. I know it. He said, but who told you that? And he's like freaking out. Why are you saying that? And this is fairly early in our marriage, not relationship, marriage, a couple years in, and stuff like that would happen. And I said, it's gonna happen, and it did. It did. And he said, how did you know that though? I said, the message, it just came to me. It just came to me. And then there were other situations. I know, say, call him, or whoever the him or her is, and I call and the person is like, oh my God, I'm so glad you called me. I was gonna lose it. This is happening. I don't know what to do, blah blah blah. And they often run into conversation, but they needed me in that moment to either just listen, to send something, to do something, but they really needed me in that moment. They were gonna call me, or they didn't know, they were freaking out, and I called at the right time. I just knew to do it. But shedding Christianity, I'm getting on a tangent here. Shedding Christianity basically saved the day for me to be a witch, for witchcraft, to practice witchcraft, just learning to shed it, and just all of the indoctrination. I'm to the point, I know some people in their spell work, especially people who probably practice more hoodoo or I say voodoo maybe, they might take Bible verses. I belong to a couple different groups online where people, they exchange things that they do, and they talk about, the book of Psalms, it's to the point, it took me so long to undo all that undoing. You're talking almost my life, almost all of my life that that I've been aware, that I can read and understand concepts, even before then, now that I think about it, because even before I could read, I was being taught Christianity. All that undoing, that unthreading, that was witchcraft to even get that done, to get that completely undone. I am not trying to infuse anything from a Christian Bible into any spell work. I don't see the point. I don't see it. And that's, if you do, that's great. I did too much work to separate myself from that entire ideology. I don't want to incorporate anything. Actually, and in my opinion, and this is just me telling you my opinion, you don't have to agree. I think that most of these people do that, don't want to separate, because the reality of it is Christianity, there's a verse in the Bible that does talk about witches, witchcraft or whatever. It says, you don't spare a witch. I don't remember the exact thing. Y'all look it up, Google it. I'm sure you'll find it. Basically, we ain't supposed to be, they don't like the people who wrote the Bible or the God. Yeah, come on, I don't want to get into this, but y'all know what I'm saying. Was not cool with witches. So, I'm not going to argue with you about being a Christian witch, but as someone who was a serious Christian, I'm going to tell you, they don't go together. And someone who's not a witch, they don't go together. You do what the heck you want to do, but they don't go together at all. And you may think you're doing something interesting and something different, but they don't go together. Christianity, the number one thing is the one true God. He speaks of the one true God. One of my biggest issues was to learning to accept more than one God or goddess. That I was stuck on that. Intellectually, I was open. Emotionally, I was open. But there was some other part of me that was still stuck in the ideology that I have been taught that just would not fully embrace the concept. So much that I practiced witchcraft for years, almost a decade before I ever incorporated any sort of goddess into my practice, into my spiritual path. I wasn't anti, I just couldn't get on board with it. It just wasn't a concept I could get on board with. And if you struggle with that and you were of one of those, the big three religions, Christianity or, Muslim or Jewish, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why you're struggling. I did not think this initially, by the way. I would figure this out as time went on. I have some leftover thoughts from Christianity, the ideology that was like bugging me and making it difficult for me to practice the way I wanted. But it's all based in fear, though, because, you're committing a sin and you're going to go to hell. Fear. Another thing, as far as fear and witchcraft, is the whole concept of foreign things. So if you've never, I don't know many people who grew up without any sort of religious overtone, even a little bit. Their parents may not have gone to church, and maybe they didn't really participate, or they didn't go to church, but the grandmama did, or the auntie did, and they was the family that didn't go. So they didn't grow up in it, but they were still aware. So even if you're coming from that point of view, or if you grew up in a very devout Christian household, some of the things we do in witchcraft is going to seem very foreign. It's going to seem out there, especially when you start reading more and you're dealing with other people and you're learning more. So I'll just throw some things out there. Blood magic. Hexing people, just the concept of hexing, of getting back at somebody and hurting them on purpose, wanting to put negativity in their life, wanting to ruin, their love life, their relationships. Like, these are foreign concepts if you were brought up in an otherwise different mindset of, turn the other cheek, pray for them, that type of deal. But, these are different. I'm not saying that you should be doing this stuff, but just to understand that it's part of the craft. There's people practice in different ways. You don't have to do everything, but you have to accept that it does exist. People are doing these things, and maybe you may not think you're going to do that now, but I've done baneful magic before. I didn't think at the time I was going to do it, but somebody did something to someone I cared about, and it was very bad. It was bad, and it was something physical. And at that point, I didn't care. There was no talking me out of it. I didn't talk to nobody. Instinctively, there was something that came over me. Not something. It was my ancestors. They were on board 100%. They said, let's get it. Let's do this. I didn't look at a book. I didn't read anything. I knew instinctively what to do, what herbs to gather, what type of candle, and what words to say. And I did it, and it was effective, and they were hurt. They were hurt. And the deal was not just hurt. I want you to continue to be hurt because of what you did, because it would leave scars, lasting scars, so you too will reap the same thing. But I digress. Doing that sort of stuff, and really giving into that, those foreign concepts and giving into it if you're going to, because there's no judgment if that's what you want to do, or even just I want to just candle magic, just things like dressing a candle and understanding the concept of you put your hands on a candle and think about the thing that you want to happen, visualize it, see it, pour all that energy into the candle. That's a foreign concept because in these other religions, you don't have power to do that. You have the power to ask, to pray. And this God is supposed to decide if it's for you. And you'll know it's for you because they'll give it to you. And if they don't, either you're still, he's still deciding, or you got to wait on it, or, whatever thing you want to think about. Where with witchcraft, it's a foreign concept that you are creating this energy, you are moving energy in the universe so that you can get this one thing or whatever the thing is that you want to bring into your existence or bring into existence. You are manifesting that. So the power is within you, and the ability to make it happen is on you. That's a foreign concept. And it can be scary because the next thought is, especially if you're new, and I wasn't even that new when I was still kind of have these moments thinking, well, what if I do it wrong? What if I don't get it right? What if I mess this up somehow and I get the wrong thing? Or what if... The what if questions, whenever I ask a what if question in my head internally, I know this is all fear. But, in the moment, you're spiraling a little bit. And it's like, what are the consequences? If I get this, will something bad happen and to somebody else? Or, man, I would go through all these mental Olympic exercises of what if. I'm so glad I'm past that point. I'm so happy I'm past that point. But, it's fear. The fear is making you ask these ridiculous questions because you got this far into it. You knew what your intention was. Because you're the one, this is your intention. You knew what you wanted. So now you ask all these ridiculous follow-up questions because you're afraid. And you're going to mess your spell up because you're scared, by the way. So you're right, you are going to mess it up. Because I did mess it up. So now I just kind of want to personalize this a little bit more as far as fear and all that sort of stuff. I was very fearful to make this YouTube channel. I was fearful that people would, that I know would see me and I would be outed. I still love using that. I would be outed. I would be pushed out of the broom closet and subject to judgment and ridicule. And will it affect my children? And what if, when you start, again, for me, that's a trigger. If I'm asking too many what if questions, I'm afraid. That's fear. I'm having a conversation with this fear aspect of myself. This is no longer rational thinking because the what ifs just get more ridiculous as I ask them internally. So I was smart enough then to realize when I was going through this creative process of this channel to realize, do it anyway. Do it anyway. So I started this channel and I did it anyway. And then I stopped because life got in the way. I started doing other things. And I still didn't really address the fear thing. I didn't fully address it. I had the videos up. I could have took them down, because I recorded videos a few years ago and it was like hit or miss. I don't know. I just couldn't get my groove with this whole YouTube thing. I think because I wasn't taking it seriously. Because if I started taking if I were to take it seriously, then I would be thinking about the fear part of it, what I was afraid of. So I made a commitment to myself this year, at the top of the year, that this would happen. I would be serious about this, about my blog, about my YouTube channel, and about any other creative ventures that I'm doing. I would be serious about it, and I would release the fear. I did a ritual to make that possible. I did a ritual on myself to release the fear, to release my fear along of everything. Now, it doesn't mean that I still don't have moments of being scared or afraid or fear, of course, but for the things where it's not the fear is no longer, it doesn't serve me. That had to be released. In this case, it doesn't serve me. I am a woman who is In 5 years going to be 50 years old. There, there is no reason that I should give two poops what anybody has to say about my spiritual path and about, anything. Me calling myself a witch. If you think I'm ridiculous, so what? You're ridiculous. I think your situation's ridiculous, but I don't tell you that. And if I do tell you that, I got to deal with the consequences of you coming back at me, and likewise. But the point is, life is too short. Life is too short to care about what other people think. Life is too short to hamstring yourself because of fear. And it's all in your head anyway, because I've been doing this now. And honestly, no one I actually know watches my channel. That's so funny. No one I know reads my blog, like religiously or on a regular basis. My husband looks at my channel. He'll look occasionally, but he doesn't always look. But he'll promote me all the time. So if this is a video he happens to see, I got to say that. See, son, honey, I said it. You promote me. But yeah, other than that, I don't care. I no longer care. I talked about in another video, I would start wearing witchy jewelry. You see that? See what I got on? I don't know if you can catch it. Yeah, so it's small. If I had bigger ones, I'd wear them. But I picked these up at Hot Topic, by the way. So they're kind of cheap, but I like the aesthetic. I like it. So I am, I'm out and I'm proud, right? I'm out of that broom closet. Clearly, if I'm making these videos, I'm out, but I'm good with it. Like, I knew when I started making regular videos that would be a good thing for me, and it is. I love doing this. This is so fun. I love thinking of topics. I love thinking of ways to improve, and it's helping me with my witchcraft a little bit more, because I've been doing this for more than a decade now. So, witchcraft, that is. So it's good to kind of get reinvested in the whole thing again. So I'm digging that. And this time of year is a great time for me. It's the Witches' New Year coming up, October 31st. But that's enough about that, because I'm just going to rattle on. But fear. It's a drag. It holds us back. It holds us back from doing a lot of things in life, from taking a lot of leaps. I almost let it hold me back from quite a few things. But I'm so grateful that I listen to my higher self, that I'm in tune with my ancestors, and I know what I want. I'm a girl who knows what she wants. I know my heart's desire, and I act on it. I align with it, and I go get it. So hence the videos. I'm doing these because I want to do them. I enjoy sharing, and I think I have a lot to share and a lot to offer for somebody who's been practicing witchcraft for more than 10 years. So thanks for watching. Again, this is Mika, Leap Taken. Go ahead and like the video if you liked it, hopefully. And if you really liked it, you might want to subscribe so you can see even more videos. So thanks again for watching. Bye.